Grandma Anna, the respected chairwoman of the Smith family empire, had been away for 3 months. During that time, she had thought deeply about her grandson, Mr. Smith, who was set to take over as the head of the family's prestigious law firm. Smith, known for his intelligence and charm, was also famous for staying out of the public eye. Few people had seen his face, making him a mystery even within the company. At the firm, excitement buzzed among the staff. Whispers and giggles filled the air as employees speculated about Smith's arrival. "He's so handsome," I heard, a junior lawyer whispered, and rich, another added, eye sparkling. "Can you imagine being the one to catch his attention? He's the most eligible bachelor around." Despite the excitement, no one knew that Smith would soon be among them, in disguise. Meanwhile, Grandma Anna had a plan of her own. Instead of making a grand entrance as the chairwoman, she decided to go undercover as a janitor. She wanted to see how things operated in the company when no one knew her true identity. But more importantly, she had a secret mission: to find a wife for Smith. Someone who would love him for who he truly was, not for his status or wealth. Dressed in plain clothes and wearing an old watch that looked like a cheap knockoff, Grandma Anna entered the law firm. Most people ignored her, but a group of female employees quickly took notice. Who let her in? One of them sneered, glaring at Grandma Anna. "She's wearing that fake watch, trying to look rich," another added, rolling her eyes. They laughed and pointed at her, their rude comments loud enough for others to hear. Grandma Anna stayed quiet at first, observing them with sharp eyes. But when one of the women stepped closer and accused her of wanting to belong to the upper class, the situation escalated. "It's just an old watch," Grandma Anna said calmly. "Why does it matter to you?" Her response didn't sit well with them. One of the women shoved her slightly, and Grandma Anna stumbled backward, nearly losing her balance. Before things could get worse, a voice cut through the commotion. "Enough." The room fell silent as Sara, a young, beautiful lawyer with sharp features, stepped forward. She crossed her arms and fixed the group with a firm stare. "What are you doing?" she asked. "She's just doing her job. Don't you have better things to do than bully someone?" The women exchanged awkward glances, but didn't back down entirely. One of them sneered, her tone dripping with mockery. "Look who's talking. Aren't you the one who got dumped for being too nosy? No wonder you're single." Sara's jaw tightened, but she didn't falter. "I wasn't dumped," she replied coolly. "I left him. I don't want a cheating boyfriend, and I certainly don't tolerate liars. It's called self-respect. You should try it sometime." Her words stung. The women muttered among themselves before walking away, clearly irritated but unwilling to continue the confrontation. Sara turned to Grandma Anna, her expression softening. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. Grandma Anna nodded and gave her a small smile. "Thank you, dear. I appreciate it." "It's nothing," Sara said with a shrug. "Just let me know if anyone bothers you again." As Sara walked away, Grandma Anna watched her with a small, knowing smile. "She's got a good heart," she murmured to herself. "This one's special." Later that afternoon, the office had quieted down, and Grandma Anna decided it was the perfect time to approach Sara. She found her at her desk, focused on a stack of papers. Clearing her throat softly, Grandma Anna spoke up. "Excuse me, dear. Can I have a moment of your time?" Sara looked up and smiled warmly, recognizing the older woman she had helped earlier. "Of course. How can I help you?" Grandma Anna sat down across from her, her sharp eyes glinting with curiosity. "I couldn't help but overhear your colleagues earlier," she began. "It seems you're single. Would you mind marrying my grandson?" Sara blinked, surprised by the unexpected question. She laughed politely, unsure if Grandma Anna was serious. "That's very kind of you to suggest, but I'm not looking for love right now. I've had my fair share of heartbreak, and I think I'm better off focusing on my career." Grandma Anna tilted her head. "Heartbreak? You're much too young to have gone through so much pain." Sara hesitated before sighing. "A lot of men have let me down. My most recent boyfriend, who was also a colleague here, cheated on me. And not just anywhere. He did it right here in the office. I caught him red-handed. It was humiliating." Grandma Anna's eyes narrowed, her voice firm. "You're right to be cautious. But I can assure you, my grandson is nothing like that. He lost both his parents in a car accident when he was very young. I raised him myself, and he's grown into a fine young man with a kind heart. He would never betray someone like that." Sara gave her a soft smile, not wanting to offend her. "That's very sweet of you to say. I'll think about it," she said jokingly, brushing off the seriousness of the conversation. Just then, the door to the office opened, and a young man walked in. Sara's attention was immediately drawn to him. He had strikingly handsome features, sharp cheekbones, kind eyes, and a confident yet humble demeanor. Though dressed in simple clothes, he carried himself with an air of quiet elegance. "Grandma," the young man said, his voice warm and familiar. Grandma Anna smiled fondly. "Smith, there you are. Come here, dear." Sara froze. Grandma, was this the grandson she had just been asked to consider? "This is Smith," Grandma Anna said, introducing him with pride. "He's a new intern here at the firm." Smith smiled at Sara and extended his hand. "Hi, I'm Smith. It's nice to meet you." Sara shook his hand, her cheeks tinged with a slight blush. "I'm Sara. Welcome to the firm." Smith's smile widened. "Thank you. I've heard this is a great place to learn, so I'm excited to get started." Grandma Anna watched their interaction with a satisfied smile, her mind already working with plans. As Sara returned to her work, she couldn't help but steal glances at Smith. How could such a seemingly humble and polite young man possibly be related to the woman who had just offered her an unusual proposal? Smith's first day as an intern started off simple. Under his disguise, he blended in seamlessly with the other employees, his laid-back demeanor making him approachable. However, a few looked down on him due to his supposed low rank. Through Grandma Anna's subtle intervention, Smith was assigned to work closely with Sara on a high-profile legal case. Sara, one of the firm's brightest lawyers, was put in charge, while Smith's role as an intern was to assist her. As they began working together, Sara was pleasantly surprised by Smith's intelligence and quick grasp of legal principles. His insights were sharp and to the point, making her wonder if he really was just an intern. "You're surprisingly good at this," Sara said, giving him an approving look. Smith chuckled. "I guess I've read a lot of legal books in my spare time. I like learning from people who are passionate about what they do, like you." Sara blushed lightly but smiled. "Thanks, that means a lot." Meanwhile, Grandma Anna kept a watchful eye from a distance, pretending to clean as she occasionally overheard their conversations. Every time Sara smiled or laughed at something Smith said, Grandma Anna's heart swelled with pride. "They're starting to get along," she muttered to herself, giving a sly smile as she pushed her cleaning cart away. Later that day, Sara's phone buzzed as she wrapped up some paperwork. It was a call from her mother. She hesitated but answered in a cheerful tone. "Hi, Mom," Sara greeted, trying to sound casual. "Sara, when are you bringing your boyfriend home?" "You promised to introduce me to your future husband soon," her mother said enthusiastically. Sara's stomach churned. She had no boyfriend to introduce, and the pressure was mounting. Not wanting to disappoint her mother, she replied nervously, "Soon, Mom. You'll meet him soon, I promise." Her mother sighed with delight. "Good. You're not getting any younger, sweetheart. I just want to see you happy." "Of course, Mom," Sara replied, forcing a laugh. "I have to get back to work now." "Okay, dear." Sara hung up and exhaled deeply. "What am I going to do?" The last thing she wanted was to lie to her mother. But the idea of explaining her single status felt unbearable. While Sara was lost in thought, the office was abuzz with excitement. News had spread that Mr. Smith, the elusive and brilliant heir to the Smith family fortune, would soon be arriving to officially take over the firm. "Do you think he'll let us join his team?" one lawyer asked. "Of course not." Lucy, a sassy and ambitious employee, scoffed. "He's only going to pick the best of the best. And let's be honest, most of you don't stand a chance." Lucy's confidence came from her ambition to work directly under Mr. Smith. She knew his reputation as a record-breaking lawyer who had never lost a case and was on track to become the youngest senior advocate in the country. She was determined to impress him at any cost. Spotting Sara walking back to her desk, Lucy smirked. "Well, if it isn't the queen of mediocrity," she said loudly enough for others to hear. "Don't even think about trying to join Mr. Smith's team. He would never pick someone like you, a low-class lawyer from a no-name university." Sara stopped in her tracks, her heart sinking. "That's enough, Lucy," she said quietly. "Oh, am I wrong?" Lucy continued mockingly. "Everyone here knows you're not in his league. Why don't you just stick to minor cases and leave the big leagues to those of us who are actually qualified?" Before Sara could respond, Smith stood up from his desk. "That's enough," he said firmly, stepping between Lucy and Sara. Lucy raised an eyebrow, sizing him up. "And who do you think you are, intern? Do you even have the right to speak to me like that?" I might be just an intern, but I know that respect and kindness go a long way, Smith replied calmly. Sara is a fantastic lawyer who works harder than anyone here. If Mr. Smith values talent, I'm sure he'd recognize that in her before anyone else. Lucy laughed bitterly. You're defending her? That's cute. But you're as low on the totem pole as she is. Don't get in my way, intern. Smith didn't back down. Maybe I'm low on the totem pole, but the people who succeed are those who lift others up, not tear them down. Lucy rolled her eyes and walked away, muttering under her breath. Sara, who had been watching the exchange, was deeply touched by Smith's defense. She looked at him with newfound admiration. Thank you, she said softly. Smith shrugged, his warm smile returning. I just don't like seeing good people treated unfairly. Sara couldn't help but smile back. Her heart fluttered slightly, and for the first time in a long while, she found herself wondering if someone could truly be different from the men who had hurt her before. He's not rich, but he is kind. Over the next few weeks, Smith and Sara grew closer. They worked seamlessly together on cases, often staying late in the office. Their shared laughter and easy conversation soon blossomed into something more. One evening, in his humble and charming way, Smith asked Sara out on a proper date. She hesitated only for a moment before agreeing. As their relationship deepened, Lucy grew increasingly bitter. Her jealousy festered, and she began plotting ways to sabotage Sara. Her chance came when she overheard Sara talking to Smith about their budding romance. Determined to ruin it, Lucy devised a plan. One day, she tampered with documents that Sara and Smith were supposed to present to a client, hoping the mistake would paint them as incompetent. However, her plan backfired when Smith quickly noticed the error and corrected it just in time. Lucy's frustration boiled over, but she refused to give up. You're lucky this time, she sneered at Sara. But don't think I won't catch you slipping up again. Smith had had enough. He decided it was time to reveal the truth about who he was. Standing in the middle of the office, he addressed the room. Everyone, listen up, he began, his voice steady but firm. I'm not just an intern. My real name is Mr. Smith, and I've been working here undercover to understand how things run at this firm. The room fell silent, then laughter erupted, led by Lucy. You, Mr. Smith? She said between chuckles. That's the funniest thing I've heard all year. Do you think we're stupid enough to believe that? Even Sara looked stunned. She pulled Smith aside. Smith, are you trying to get yourself into serious trouble? You could be sued for impersonating Mr. Smith. Please stop before this gets worse. Smith looked at her, his eyes filled with frustration and hurt. Sara, I'm telling the truth. I am Mr. Smith. She shook her head. If the real Mr. Smith finds out, he could ruin your life. Please, Smith, drop this before it's too late. That evening, Smith made a call to his trusted secretary, James. James, I need you to come to the firm Smithero and pretend to be me. Act like the real Mr. Smith. I want to see how everyone reacts. James chuckled. This is an unusual request, sir, but I'll do it. The next morning, the office was buzzing as word spread that Mr. Smith was finally making his grand appearance. At exactly 9 a.m., James walked in, exuding confidence. Lucy rushed to greet him, fawning over the man she believed to be Mr. Smith. Meanwhile, Smith stood in the corner, smirking as he observed the unfolding drama. Grandma Anna, still pretending to be a humble cleaner, watched with amusement, but her focus wasn't on James or Lucy. It was on Sara. Grandma Anna had already made up her mind. Sara was perfect for Smith. She decided it was time to intervene. Later that afternoon, Grandma Anna approached Sara, looking pale and frail. She clutched her chest dramatically and let out a shaky sigh. Are you okay? Sara asked, rushing to her side. I'm fine, dear, Grandma Anna replied weakly. It's just, my heart's not what it used to be. I don't think I have much time left. Sara's eyes widened in concern. Don't say that. Have you seen a doctor? Grandma Anna shook her head. What I need can't be fixed by a doctor. My only wish before I leave this world is to see my grandson married to a good woman, someone kind and strong. Someone like you. Sara's heart skipped a beat. Me? But Grandma Anna gently squeezed her hand. I know it's sudden, but Smith cares for you deeply, and I can see you care for him too. You two would make each other so happy. Please think about it. That evening, Sara sat in her apartment, mulling over Grandma Anna's words. She couldn't deny that she had feelings for Smith. He was kind, supportive, and had stood by her during her toughest moments. Even though he wasn't wealthy, he made her feel valued in a way no one else ever had. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from her mom. "When are you bringing your fiancé home? I can't wait to meet him." Sara sighed. Her mother's constant pressure to settle down only added to her growing uncertainty. Marrying Smith would solve everything. She loved him, and he loved her. Why not take a leap of faith? Unaware of Grandma Anna's scheme, Smith was also thinking about Sara. He had fallen for her completely, but worried about revealing his true identity. Would she feel betrayed? Would she see him differently? His thoughts were interrupted by a text from Grandma Anna. "Come see me. It's urgent." When Smith arrived at Grandma Anna's apartment, she was lying on the couch, looking unusually pale. "Grandma, what's going on?" Smith asked, panic in his voice. Grandma Anna sighed dramatically. "Smith, I'm not well. I've been thinking you and Sara should get married. She's perfect for you, and I know you feel the same way about her." Smith blinked. "Married? Grandma, she already agreed." Grandma Anna interjected with a sly smile. "She said she'd think about it, but I know she'll say yes." "Don't waste time, Smith. Life is too short." The next day, Grandma Anna orchestrated a meeting between Smith and Sara. She pretended to be even sicker, her frail condition convincing them both that this was urgent. As they sat beside her, she gave them a weak smile. "You two mean so much to me," she said softly. "I know it's sudden, but I want to see you both happy before it's too late. Will you consider getting married?" Smith and Sara exchanged a glance, both feeling a rush of emotions, love for each other and concern for Grandma Anna. Finally, Sara spoke. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steady. "I've been thinking. My mom's been pressuring me to settle down, and honestly, Smith, I've fallen for you. I don't care about money or status. You're kind and thoughtful, and that's all that matters to me." Smith's heart swelled with emotion. "Sara, I feel the same way. I'll do whatever it takes to make you happy." Grandma Anna beamed triumphantly, her frail state momentarily forgotten. "That's wonderful news. Let's plan a small ceremony right away." Sara and Smith exchanged surprised glances at Grandma Anna's sudden burst of energy. The wedding was simple but heartfelt. Sara wore a modest white dress, her natural beauty shining brighter than any diamond. Smith, in a crisp suit, looked at her with a mixture of love and nervousness. Despite his joy, he couldn't shake the weight of his secret, the truth about his real identity as Mr. Smith. He feared Sara would feel betrayed once she discovered the truth. Grandma Anna, dressed in a cheerful floral outfit, watched the couple with satisfaction. To her, the plan was a success. She could see the love in Sara's eyes and the quiet devotion in Smith's. After the ceremony, as they sat together at a small celebratory dinner, Smith leaned close to his grandmother and whispered his worries. "Grandma," he said quietly, "what if Sara finds out the truth? What if she feels betrayed and decides to leave me? I've lied to her, and now we're married." "It's wrong." Grandma Anna patted his hand reassuringly. "Smith, you didn't deceive her out of malice. You love her, and it's clear she loves you too. When the time comes, she'll understand. Good intentions matter, dear. Don't lose heart." Smith nodded, but the anxiety lingered in his chest. He wanted to believe his grandmother's words, but he couldn't ignore the possibility that Sara might feel hurt and betrayed when the truth came to light, and he was right. A week after their wedding, Sara accidentally overheard a conversation between Smith and his assistant, James. The truth came crashing down on her. Smith wasn't just the kind-hearted man she had fallen in love with. He was Mr. Smith, the billionaire CEO of the firm where she worked. Her world tilted. Later that evening, she confronted him. "You lied to me," she said, her voice trembling. "You pretended to be an intern, and then you married me without telling me who you were." "I didn't mean to hurt you," Smith said, stepping closer. "I tried to tell you the truth before, but you didn't believe me. I was afraid of losing you. I love you, Sara. That's the only reason I married you." Sara looked at him, emotions warring between anger and understanding. "Why didn't you tell me before the wedding?" "I wanted to," Smith admitted. "But I was afraid you'd think I married you because of Grandma's schemes. I love you, Sara. And I still owe you a grand wedding, if you'll have me." After a long pause, Sara sighed. "I need time to process this, Smith. But I won't leave you. I love you too." Relief washed over him, and he nodded. "Thank you for giving me a chance to make things right." Their love, forged through trials and honesty, had only just begun to bloom.